Hola, hoy vamos a hablar de los números en español. Today we're going to talk about the numbers in Spanish. We're going to start with the first 15. They're the most basic numbers in Spanish. If you know these numbers, then it makes knowing and understanding the rest of the numbers a lot more simple. So let's start over here with cero, uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Alright? You do need to study these numbers in Spanish. Numbers 1 through 9 you'll see repeatedly in Spanish over and over again. Kind of like, in English where we say, 21, 22, 23, 24. The same in Spanish. Alright, the next of the numbers we're going to look at are 16 to 19. These numbers, they look a little bit scary when we see them in Spanish. I do need to add an accent mark here. Let's go with red. Okay. Sorry about that. Alright. These numbers, when we see them in Spanish, they look kind of scary. You see 16, and 17, 18, 19. They look like really complicated numbers. But let me break it down for you and show you what it actually is. All this is this. 10 y 6. We know 10 from the other page is 10. We know 6 from the other page is 6. This letter right here, in the alphabet we call it Y. When we see it alone, we call it E. And when we see it alone, it represents the word and. So 10 y 6 literally means 10 and 6. So 10 and 6 make 16. 10 y 6 could be written either way. You could write it like this, by changing the Z to a C, changing the Y to an I, and mushing it all together. That gives you 10 y 6. Or it is perfectly acceptable to write 10 y 6 like this, if that helps you. Okay, so the same thing goes for 10 y 7, 10 y 8, 10 y 9. They all follow the same rule. You can write it either in the longer looking word, or you can break it down into 3 separate words. Okay, so otra vez, 10 y 6, 10 y 7, 10 y 8, 10 y 9. Let's move on to higher numbers now. 20. 20 is the one unique tens digit that we have. 20, you'll notice, look, it looks a little bit intimidating again, but it's really not. For flat out 20, we use 20, that ends with an E. But once we start adding on 21, 22, this E, you cross that, change it to a I, and then add on your other number all in one word. So that gives you 21, 22, 23 with the accent mark, 24, 25, 26 with the accent mark, 27, 28, and 29. Alright, moving on. After 20, after 20, all the rest of the numbers are very simple. 30, 40, 50, 30, 40, 50. For these numbers, you take the base tens digit, 30, You add y for and then the numbers from 1 to 9. So 31 would be 31, 32, 33, 34, and so on and so forth, all the way down to 39. 40 works the same way. So if you wanted to say 45, you would say 45, 46, 47. 50 also works the same way, which is very nice because if you wanted to say 58, you just say 58, 59. One thing that I want you to recognize about 30, 40, and 50 is that you can almost see the base for 3, for 3, for 4, like 4, and 5, like 5. So 3 has 3 in it, 40 has 4 in it, 50 has 5 in it. So that's very helpful in helping you remember which tens digit is which. The rest of the tens digits, wrong way. The rest of the tens digits in Spanish work the same way. 60, 70, 80, and 90. For these to count, all you have to do is add the E afterwards. Sorry, not the best handwriting. And then the number 1 through 9. One thing that I want you to notice is remember in Spanish to say 6, we say seis. That's E-I. 6. 60. 60 and 70 look very similar, but remember the number for 7 in Spanish is siete. Notice how it has the T, where 6 has the S. So 6, 60. 7, 70. So 60 for 60, 70 for 70. Then look, this one's very similar. 8 for 80, 9, 90. Oops. So that'll help you remember the numbers. Okay, these are the numbers 1 through 90. Back up. We'll count from 0 to 15 again. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. From here on out, we'll count by tens. 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. And these are basic numbers in Espanol.